All right, BradCooney.com in association with HCN Networks is absolutely honored to have on board Hollywood actor Daniel Franzese. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Hey, Brad, it's really great to be on the show.
Absolutely, man. We're a pleasure to have you on board. All right, so, I've been watching you for a long time. Of course, you played in Mean Girls, Bully, I Spit on Your Grave, which I remember the first original I Spit on Your Grave, which caused all kinds of controversy. It was a great movie. So some really cool roles. And most recently, you're hosting a show on the Logo channel called Gay Skit Happens. So let's get right into that first. Talk about that.
Well, we did a Valentine's special, like a love edition of this sketch comedy special with Logo. They asked me to be their first host, and I had a great time. It was pretty great.
All right, so this isn't a recurring thing. It's just it's like a special guest type thing?
Yeah, they're doing, it is. They're doing different sketch comedy specials, and the first of those that they were unrolling was the one that I hosted. They have another one that comes out in June with A. Fox.
Good stuff. Do you think you'll come back on the show and do it again?
I do. I have a really strong feeling. I mean, doing this, I really developed a great relationship with Logo, and I feel like I'll be...
Okay, your phone broke off. Can you just finish that last part of your answer?
Oh, I just said, I feel like I really got along with Logo. We hadn't worked together previously, and now I feel like we'll be doing a lot more together in the future.
Okay, great stuff, man. All right, so, and also, I was reading up on you, and you're involved with on ABC Freedom, a show called Recovery Road. Can you get into that a little bit for us? Yeah.
Well, ABC Family changed their name to Freeform. It's a new approach to the network. And one of the new shows is our show Recovery Road, which I'm delighted to say people are really loving. It is about a 17-year-old girl who gets caught drinking and doing drugs in high school and then has to nights and weekends. So she gets to live at the adult sober living facility and then still attend school, and all the problems that come with that, not telling her friends that she's there, and all the people that she meets in the house. I play Vern Testaverde, who was a dancer and a choreographer, and had a bout with cocaine, and quit cocaine after he lost his mojo and gained a little weight. And it's interesting, I think, that our show sheds a little bit of light on the side of recovery. Because I feel like on television, often we see like the glamorous side of drugs and alcohol or the downward spiral, rock bottom, but we never really see a lot about people who are in recovery who are making their way back up. And I think that's a cool thing that Freeform decided to stay away from that.
Yeah, I worked in a drug and alcohol rehab. Actually, two of them. I worked in an outpatient and an inpatient clinic up in New York. I'm from New York, by the way, too. So I've seen like the whole behind the scenes thing and the whole recovery process. So I agree with you. It's really nice to see a show that shows that side of things.
Much to the credit of Bergsy Royal and Karen DiConsetto, the show's creators, I really think that they don't shy away from the gritty stuff, but still manage to infuse enough comedy and heart to keep the levity going. And I think it's an enjoyable show.
What all do you look for in a script or when someone comes to you with an idea?
Lots of zeros.
Besides that, what are some things that really just grabs your attention that really, really would enhance someone's chances of booking you?
I think when it comes to being just a big guy in Hollywood or a gay guy in Hollywood or an Italian guy in Hollywood or a tall guy in Hollywood, any of the things that make me a minority, I really appreciate seeing roles that have a really strong arc. I mean, part of the things in entertainment are you watch someone go through something on a television show and their life changes, hopefully in the script because of some event. Life changes a little bit. I'd rather play characters that go through some sort of arc or have some sort of change in them, so that when we start the project, be maybe they're different by the end of it, rather than just being some, innocuous sidekick or something. Although I do love a lot of the comedies that offer that, I do like to see my characters grow, because I think that's where I'm able to have the most effect on my audience.
I grew up in upstate New York, but only about 35 miles north of the Bronx. So I was close enough to New York City to get in there and have fun on weekends, and then be able to get home into the suburbs. But I grew up in my school, where in the 80s. Now, I grew up in the 80s. I'm 50 years old now. And I just met a friend of mine that I went to high school with. I haven't seen him in 30-plus years. And he's gay. And I pretty much knew he was in school. But back then, if you were gay, you kept your mouth shut about it in that part of, at least where I'm from. And we talked about the difference of how it was in the 80s for somebody who's gay and as opposed to how it is now. And even though we still have, a ways to go, it's a lot better. It's socially acceptable a lot more. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I completely see the difference between 2004 when Mean Girls came out and now.
Right.
I mean, I recently just came out in 2014, so
yep, I remember that.
agree with you. The climate has changed not only drastically, but rapidly. And I think now that we're seeing progression and movement in the trans movement, it's just accelerating the gay and lesbian movement even further.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
I think it's interesting. We live in a different time for sure. I think people have become complacent. People think that gay people have equal rights, not just because we have marriage equality, but battles to fight. I know in 22 states there's still reasons that people can get fired just because they're gay. These antiquated laws and things that are happening still need to be changed. That's why I've aligned myself as an ambassador with Lambda Legal, because they're an amazing organization that for years have helped with litigation and different aspects of that. They've been around for 40 years, and they're just like a leader in the fight for marriage equality, which was a big success for them. And now, they're paying attention to other recognition and rights for civil rights for LGBT people. I told you I was born and raised in New York, but I happen to live in Mississippi right now. And Mississippi is one of the states that you were talking about, I believe. I'm pretty sure it is. And I get in, I'm not your typical Mississippian, of course, because I grew up in New York, like I said. And so I get into a lot of clashes, and I'm a straight guy, but I also, I look at things logically, and one of the debates I frequently get into with people is the whole question of whether or not a gay person is born that way or if they choose that way. And I'm like, my argument is if gay people choose that lifestyle, they got to be like the greatest actors in the history of the world. Because if they were acting, if they were faking, you would think they would slip up once or twice and their straight side would come out. You know what I mean? I mean, what do you think? What do you think about that? I understand that perspective for sure. I think and the South is a huge problem right now, not only for HIV and AIDS awareness and prevention. I'm an ambassador as well for Elizabeth Taylor.
Yep.
And I've also done a lot of work with Trevor Project, which is an organization that helps with suicidal gay and lesbian and transgender teens.
That's good stuff.
Most of their calls come from the South, and there's such a lack of education out there right now because a lot of the school systems in the South teach sexual education, and there's kids out in the South that don't even really think that they need to wear condoms because they're in a same-sex partnership and then think that they're not going to get pregnant, so what's the point? And it's more than that. There's really a lack of education. Growing up, I'm sure, you sound close to my age, but growing up, there was tons of different things that taught us what HIV and AIDS was and how to prevent and treat it and accept it, because it was a bigger issue in the media at that point. But now that we're seeing a lack of representation on television and in the media and lack of stories about people with HIV and AIDS, there's less information out there for our youth. And it's really alarming right now. Just incredibly alarming at the rate states that that the new transmissions are rising.
Really is. I think social networks help some for. And actually, it's a bittersweet thing because social networks can actually kill people. With some of these bullies that get on social networks and make fun of people. But on the flip side, for gay people, I think they can meet more gay people and they through social networks, Twitter and Facebook, and that's helped. Because when I was growing up in the 80s, if someone was gay, it was an isolated world because they didn't have the social networks back then to reach out to other people.
True.
You know, I have a relative, and I don't want to say who this person is, but she actually came out to me when I had lunch with her recently, and she still hasn't come out to her own parents, and that's a concern, because more comfortable with me, which I understand. But
you want to know a newer modern concern for a gay man? So as we approach all of this equality, and we're approaching quote unquote normalcy in a lot of areas, especially the major metropolitan areas. I mean, people don't blink twice. I'm sure there's isolated incidents, but people don't really blink twice about a gay person in this day and age in a big city like Los Angeles or New York. But I feel like part of me feels like the privacy that you're talking about led to the interesting artistic queerness of LGBT people, because we had our own culture and our own little subculture, and now that we're becoming more mainstream, I don't want the gay community to lose their edge. They've contributed so much to the arts and so much different things because of there's our skewed vision of how the world works around us, and I'm hoping that we still can remain to be like the fierce leaders in art and culture that we always were.
It's a good point. It's a good angle. I didn't even think about it from that angle. Good point.
Yeah, it's interesting because I always said that the reason I think that gay people tend to be slightly more creative is because we really have to pay attention to detail. Growing up, when we walk in a room, we have to survey the room for safety first, and we have to survey the room for who's gay and who's straight, and then pretty soon it turns into who's hot and who's not, and then it turns into what is she wearing, and then it turns into look at this decor, and I feel like so many times I've had conversations about something that didn't interest me, particularly as an LGBT person, and my mind would wander, and I'd start checking out my surroundings, and I really feel like that's one of the reasons that queer people are really awesome at attention to detail, and because we are constantly looking around and having to check our surroundings when we walk in a room.
Absolutely. All right, man. Great. I didn't mean to get off on the whole gay thing. It just kind of happened.
Fine.
Yeah, I'm sure you're used to it in these interviews. Let's talk about this freaking YouTube channel you got, man. I was laughing. This shit Italian mom say. It cracks me up because growing up, I was watching your skits when you were doing that. And I actually was having visions of real Italian women that I grew up with that say all that stuff. That's what was funny about it.
I really feel like we got a big majority in the first couple. I mean, a new one just came out. With Gay Skit Happens, I was able to make another series of Italian. You have to check out the new one, but yeah, definitely try to get everything in there that all those ladies said.
Absolutely. Remember the plastic over the couches?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Now I can, yeah.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of a choppy connection, but that's all right. I was saying, remember back growing up in New York where the Italians, they'd have their sofas covered in plastic?
Yeah, we did growing up, for sure.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, what the heck was that all about? I never could get that.
I asked my mom about it. I was like, why did you guys do that? And they were like, well, you didn't know how messy you were. We kept it clean. We kept it nice. I'm like, for who? Is the president coming over?
Absolutely, man. All right, a minute ago...
I even wonder, Brett, if the president did come over, would they take the plastic off or just Windex the couch?
They'd probably be so stunned if President Obama came to the house that they would even forget about it. They wouldn't even... Plastic over the couch wouldn't even... They forget about it. They wouldn't even remember it was there.
Or did you ever have anybody in your neighborhood or in your family who had a special living room that no one could go in?
Yeah, I did, and God forbid you walked with your shoes on anywhere near it.
They had that show living room, like we were walking through the furniture section of Bloomingdale's.
Yep, I don't know if it was just a Northeast thing with those things, or if that happened in other parts of Italian neighborhoods and other parts of the world.
I don't know, because we moved to school, and Fort Lauderdale to me is just Diet Brooklyn. It's a Yorkers.
It is, all of Florida.
There were a couple people there with fake living rooms, too.
That's funny, man. That's funny. All right, now, a few minutes ago you talked about you're an ambassador for the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation. Get into that a little bit more. That's important. I want people to hear about this.
Well, it started with Elizabeth Taylor's grandson. He asked me to get involved, but at the time, we just didn't see a fit for like an event or something that I could really help out with. Then I got cast in HBO's television show Looking, and on that show, I played an HIV-positive character. And not just an HIV-positive character, but a healthy one, and one who was being pursued by one of the lead characters who was negative romantically. And we also discussed things like PrEP, which is the preventative drug that we now have. If someone takes PrEP, then they can't get HIV, and which is an amazing new tool that hasn't been discussed on television. And my character was the first character with HIV to be on television in 5 years when it came out. So this led to me calling back Quinn and being like, how could I become a part of this? And previously, after Miss Taylor's passing, her board of trustees were taking care of the foundation, but they recently hired a new managing director, Joel Goldman, America and March of Dimes, and he himself has been HIV positive for 21 years, and so as this great philanthropist, an amazing Pied Piper of celebrities, and a great idea man came into Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation, I also joined, and at the same time, Joel made me an ambassador, and we have done amazing works together since we've been working together. Although Looking has been completed, I mean, we have a movie coming out later this year to complete the series. Even though that still happens, I will be remaining an advocate for the rest of my life until we eradicate this disease. And next week, I go for my second time to AIDS Watch in Washington, which is, AIDS Watch is this time where Capitol Hill opens its doors to the AIDS activists from 35 states that come in and talk about the progression and the needs and the desires of people with HIV and people to help in aid in prevention and treatment. So, I mean, I've become as an official ambassador, and it's been great. I mean, I've gotten to know all of Elizabeth Taylor's grandchildren, and they're all lovely people who are continuing their grandmother's legacy. I can't believe the stories and the amazing things that I've read about what Elizabeth Taylor has done. And just as a legend and an actress and a legacy, I am so inspired by her and find myself every day trying to do things that would live up to her fight.
To make her proud.
So,
yeah,
and I'm very excited. And I've got to see some amazing things, too. I mean, we got a personal tour of the National Treasury where they pulled up all of her nationalization papers and the letters that she wrote the president. And I got to see things through her grandchildren's eyes, which was such an amazing gift. And I'm so happy that this family has shared this with me, and I'm really happy to continue to fight for them.
Wow, that's inspiring. And what an iconic humanitarian she was. Just an amazing person.
Yeah, I know. It's just incredible when you hear about the stories. I mean, there's stories where, like, she did illegal things that, even her trust is like, we can't confirm or deny.
Yeah.
But just that, about her running, like, illegal drug rings in her house in order to be able to get the drugs to people before they were on the market. And, the Abbey, which is probably in the country, but in Los Angeles, she used to sit there every day, and she has a little portrait now where she used to hang out, and she used to greet all of the people. And I've just heard so many stories. When you get involved in something like this, the stories just come to you. You don't even have to look for them. And I heard a story about her in Atlanta in full Elizabeth Taylor drag, as it was put in the letter. She went into, like, these homes with people that were dying of AIDS, and no cameras, no nothing, just went as herself and hugged and kissed everybody and let them know that they were loved and let them know that she was thinking about them, and was constantly this amazing, amazing gift to people who were dying of the disease at the time.
I'm not surprised to hear that at all from her. She didn't want the fanfare. She didn't want the cameras. I mean, that was just her. That was just her being her.
Yeah, and she, it started with her friendship with Rock Hudson. She knew, her quote was like, I knew that when gay people started to be the enemy, that I had to say something. You know, because to become Elizabeth Taylor, you need a lot of gay people around you.
Sure. Yeah, you know, Rock Hudson's passing, I think that was really the first major, like, bombshell that kind of rocked the country about the whole HIV, and even some people were just, like, completely stunned that he was gay in the first place. Like, outside of Hollywood, like normal movie fans.
Totally. And her friendship with him had a lot to do with, I think, how she felt about all of that. It became real personal for her with Rock Hudson's passing and Freddie Mercury's. I think it really, if you ever have a chance, I didn't know about it until I'm an ambassador, but there's an incredible speech that Miss Taylor gives at Freddie Mercury's funeral that is just beyond. You have to see it.
Can you see it on YouTube? Is it on YouTube?
Yeah, it's totally on YouTube. Absolutely. She just gives this incredible speech in front of thousands and thousands of people at this Live Aid event, and it's just amazing watching her take the stage. Then.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna make it a point to see that.
And subsequently, I've also, I got to meet, like, being in San Francisco so much filming Looking, I got to meet Cleve Jones, who was Harvey Milk's right-hand man and conceptualized the AIDS quills. And I've met so many important people in the fight, and I met I was on a podcast with the doctor that discovered the first case of AIDS in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
I've met so many people that have been pioneers and trailblazers through my involvement with the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation. It's actually incredible. I'm one of the people to go to if you have a question about that now. And I just never thought that would be something that would be a calling for me. But I guess, when God asks you to do something, you just say yes, right?
Yeah, He opens the doors for you, and you go right through them. You just do it.
Yeah, especially when it's something that important.
Now, do you have much interaction with politicians with your title, with your position? Because it's important to get the politicians on board with these things, man.
No, absolutely. I mean, we give, it goes from everything from last year at AIDS Watch, we presented Jose Serrano, the New York congressman, with an award, and I've been in Barbara Box's office and all these different congressmen's offices, talking to both them and their litigants, and talking about what we can do to. Surprising to me how, for lack of a better term, just how uncool it has been to support HIV and AIDS in the past few years, because it hasn't been something that we've seen on television. Like I said, I mean, in the 80s we had the Ryan White story and many other stories, and in the 90s we had Peyton Zamora and many other stories, and then once we hit the 2000s, there's just been a lack of thought.
It's right off the grid. It went right off the grid.
And the information hasn't gotten out there. I mean, the information that everyone has in their head about HIV and AIDS is old and antiquated.
Yeah.
I didn't realize until I played Eddie Bear on Looking that people only take one pill now. And it used to be a whole cocktail of pills.
That's right.
A little lunch bag of pills, and now they only take one pill. And I didn't realize how available PrEP was. Something that's really PrEP stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis. So it's a pill that you take every day, and before you're exposed to the HIV virus, it blocks it. So you can't get HIV if you take PrEP. Now you have to combine that still with a condom because that keeps everything else out.
Sure.
And the combination makes it 100% effective. Now, 32% of our general practitioners in this country don't know what PrEP is. How is that possible?
That's insane.
It's just insane. And then there are big pharmaceutical companies that are trying to give it a bad name because if someone takes PrEP, then they don't get HIV. Like these other drugs and treatment.
And then they can't rob people with all the prices that they have to pay to fight it.
Exactly. And how infuriating is that for our future and our children's future?
Yeah.
And it's something that I will never shut up about until it's solved. And hopefully one day it will be. But if everybody took the measures that we have now to prevent HIV, we would eradicate HIV and AIDS by 96% in this country.
Jeez. I think they do the same thing with cancer too, man. Same bullcrap. They
what?
With cancer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because everyone raised eyebrows with that Martin Shkreli guy who raised the price, the $1 a pill drug, $750. But that drug was also used for cancer patients. To people people with HIV, and that is a common practice. You know, when he realized that that pill was for, I mean, I don't want to misquote, but I'm pretty sure that pill was for when you have a low immune system and somehow you end up in some still water, like whether it be from like a pond or a lake or whatever, a puddle, and you end up in some still water, and some of the bacteria for people who have really weakened immune systems from debilitating diseases like AIDS and cancer, and then they get some kind of bacteria or virus from that water, and this pill was something that they could take to correct that. So that's sort of like an emergency moment. And he thought, well, wouldn't you, rather than pay $7, wouldn't you pay $750 to save your life? So he just thought he can raise up the price like that to just gouge people, because he's like, if it's going to save your life and what this pill does, it's worth more money. But that's not, I mean, this pill was just quietly a few dollars for years.
Jeez. Special place in hell, man, for people like that.
Yeah, well, he was very smirky and very sociopathic and very, like, obviously a weasel's weasel. But there's a lot of bigger corporations. There's a lot of people that are doing it quietly and cuter with, you know, prettier ads and things that are swaying the American public away from using drugs like PrEP. And I think that it's really important that, especially our young, as thousands of people ages 13 to 24 are getting HIV every year, and half of them don't even know they have it. So it's important for people to go get tested and when they know their status, get the proper treatment. Because if you have HIV and you get to know that you are undetectable and therefore can't transmit the disease, it's the people who don't know that they have HIV, and it's the people who aren't being treated that have it,
right,
that are spreading it.
Yeah, because they don't know. Unknowingly they're doing it. That's the dangerous part.
I think that's something, I mean, I think that's something that eclipses my acting career, to be honest with you. I think it's something that is so important that I'm put on this earth to help out with. And I may not know all the facts, but I'm learning, and I will be a megaphone for AIDS United and for ETAF and for GLAAD and for any other organization that needs someone to say something, because if no one else is talking about it, I sure should. I'm going to.
And I think somebody in your shoes who's a celebrity, I think it's great that you're utilizing that also, because let's be honest, you know, Joe Blow on the corner or the milkman, if there's any such thing as a milkman these days, but you know, the guy working in the convenience store or whatever, people don't really want to hear or listen to them, but they'll listen to you. You know what I mean? So.
Well, my dad always like tried to warn. My dad, old school, Brooklyn Italian, always tried to warn me against being a loudmouth. He's like, do whatever you want with acting, but just don't be one of those people that are all political and open their mouth about this and that. Like, and nobody wants to hear that from you. Like, but I have to say, when it comes to this, I really feel compelled. I really feel like I do have a voice.
Yeah.
I because of the roles that I've chosen, Damien in Mean Girls was extremely significant to people who were big chubby gay guys in high school who didn't really have an identity. I mean, I never saw anyone on screen that looked like me that wasn't being made fun of, and I think it came out was I got this letter from a fan who said that in 8th grade they were a chubby queer sissy kid that nobody liked, and then the movie came out, and in 9th grade the popular senior girls were like, come sit at our table because you're like Damien, and he had an identity. There was already a likable archetype that they could relate him to, and he said at first it bothered him, but in the end he embraced it because it created his whole high school social scene. That made me so happy. And then I do a role like even a role like I Sit in Your Grave, which was like, I get a really salacious and
you're a voyeur, like a lunatic voyeur, dude.
But not even who I played. The story of the show, I mean, that movie was created because Mayor Zarki, who made the original movie, was driving past Central Park, and a woman ran out of Central Park, and she was just raped. And he helped her to the police station, and nobody did anything about it. So he came up with this fantasy about how, like, that could, she could take over, and it was sort of standing up for women in a way, although it was a little, definitely exploitative in its own way of its time. But I think it was, it was empowering to women to see that movie, and then to do something like Eddie Bear, where it's a person who's HIV positive and living his life healthy and being pursued by the hot male lead of a show, and I never see anybody who's a man of size that's not a castrated comic relief in gay programming. And here we have someone who's sexualized and having sex and in love and capable of being loved despite his status and size and everything else, and maybe in fact because of it. And now I'm doing a show like Recovery Road, where on Recovery Road I play Vern, who is someone who's recovering from cocaine. Another thing that people can latch onto and feel and learn from and be inspired by. So I guess I'm creating some sort of legacy of my own with the types of roles that I'm choosing that are important roles that are evoking this position for me to be some sort of thought leader or something.
Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm happy to take on that role if it's something that I can do to help other people, because I know how much I've been influenced by media and television and film and plays and things that I've seen, and how culture has healed parts of me. So if I can in turn give that back, achieve the ultimate goal of entertaining people, I think I've really done my job on this earth.
Have you ever thought about doing a one-man show? Like Mike Tyson, the former heavyweight champion, the boxer.
I did one.
Oh, you did do one, okay.
Yeah,
talk about that.
I did one off-Broadway in 2014 called I've Never Really Made the Kind of Money to Become a Mess.
Oh, okay.
And I probably would do another one at some point. It was a big achievement for me to pull it off with my schedule and my timing, but I do a lot of storytelling and live appearances around Los Angeles and New York when I have an opportunity.
That's great, man. Talk about real quick, and I'll let you go because I know you're probably a busy guy. I wanted to get your thoughts on what it was like to work with Lindsay Lohan on Mean Girls.
Well, at the time, I feel like we didn't get we didn't not get along, but we weren't particularly close during filming because she was 15 years old and I was 26.
Sure.
So it was definitely a little bit different. But as we grew older, I think, especially now that she's been successful in her sobriety, I feel like we've met up again in recent years on a different level, and it's nice being around her now. When we were doing that, it felt like the work was more important, and she was really young. She couldn't go out and drink with us or anything.
Right.
But I think now that we're adults, and she's, like I said, she's in this place of a little bit more peace. I mean, she famously had troubles.
Sure.
I think that now we meet up on a better level, and I do enjoy seeing her when I get the opportunity to.
Yeah, she's really doing good here lately, recently. So definitely.
Yeah, I'm very proud of what she's accomplished in her sobriety, and I hope that it continues. And she's a fine actress, and I really think that she's somebody that deserves another shot at something big. So hopefully she'll continue to do what she's doing, and someone will give her that chance.
I agree, because she's very, very talented, great actress. All right, touch on some future projects, man. What do you got coming up?
Well, I definitely have the Looking movie coming out this year. I have another movie that we're finishing the finishing touches on next month, called Mind Puppets, which is about 5 people who get hypnotized, and the hypnotist has a heart attack, and we get stuck in our trance.
Oh, that's a cool little script.
It is cool, and I play a man who thinks he's a pregnant woman.
That's freaking epic, man.
And it's very much in the vein of Italian Mom.
Oh, man.
Definitely a very similar voice that comes over him as he starts to think he's a pregnant woman. But yeah, so I'm finishing that up. And then, like I said, there's a few surprises and things I really haven't been able to announce yet that I'll be doing with Logo this year. And currently, right now, I'm on Mondays at 9 on Freeform. You can catch me on Recovery Road.
That's great stuff, man. Well, look, we absolutely enjoyed having you on board. Wish you much success going forward. Congrats on all the things you're doing for awareness, and it's really, really a pleasure to hear that that somebody's out there swinging away and fighting the good fight, man. Before I let you go, you want to plug some social networks, your Twitter and Instagrams, and Facebooks, all that stuff?
Yes, if you would like to see any of my YouTube videos, go to MyTube. And if you would like to catch me on any social network, from Snapchat to Twitter to Instagram to Tumblr, you can find me at What's Up Danny.